ecstasy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mindminx Show. I'm your favorite Mindminx. And all right, let me do homework because I always forget the freaking homework and then I get in trouble from my sponsor. So let me give a shout out to the official sponsor of the Mindminx Show, Absalom, located at 223 DeGraw Avenue in Teaneck, New Jersey. To Castro Beats for this incredible beat that you guys hear in the background. We can't hear it here, but they can hear it on YouTube land. Okay, we did it. We got the homework out of the way. I am here with a super special guest and I am so super excited about this. So I just want to introduce, if you don't already know, that's not my fault. You guys are obviously not tapped into anything at all. But welcome, Omi Hopper. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. This was, first of all, such an impromptu, last minute. Thank you so much for fitting me into your schedule.
This is, every single time I come to New York, I leave with a different experience, and this is definitely going to be one of those. So I start my mornings off to wake up with a song. Can we do that together?
Absolutely.
Because as you see me, I'm double fisting coffee here.
I got my
had a rough night last night.
Yeah.
Really rough night. So ready?
Yes.
Buenos días por la mañana, qué rico que estamos activos. And that's it.
Oh, awesome. I don't sing. And I'm only Puerto Rican, so I'm not gonna mess up the words.
You're not messing up.
That was awesome, thank you. All right, let's talk about this. So, Omi Hopper, internet sensation, thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So, everybody has a different experience of what happened during quarantine and COVID. Some not so great, obviously. And there were some that were able to maneuver around it, do something instead of feel bad for themselves, I guess, for lack of a better word. And you were one of them. You went out there and started making these videos. Like what? All right, let's go back a little. Backtrack. You were a makeup artist.
Yes.
That is what your background is in, what your trade is. How come, and I wanted to ask you this because I think this is super important. How come you didn't do any TikToks about makeup?
Honestly, where were we gonna go? For what? We're wearing a mask.
I thought
we're covering half of our face.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So I'm like, I'm not wasting my makeup. And I literally would say that even for myself. I'm like, I'm not wasting my makeup and putting makeup on. If I'm wearing a mask, it's rubbing all off, on the mask anyway.
That's a good point.
And so I chose to show what I was doing, which was cooking 3 to 4 meals a day. Every day. My boys were home. I have 4 boys, and 3 of them were on Zoom calls on 3 different Zoom calls, 3 different schools, 3 different times. and I was losing my marbles. I've always been an extrovert. I've always loved being with people and worked in customer service my whole life. As a makeup artist, of course, being around that as well is, I just love people. And I was missing people. It wasn't people-y enough for me.
It wasn't people-y enough. I love that.
Enough. And I really wanted to have a way to connect and just talk to folks about something. And I wasn't gonna do makeup because it was just not, no one's really paying attention to that. But I definitely was cooking a lot. So I just wanted to show that. Never ever intending for it to turn into a channel at all.
But it did.
As a matter of fact, I started my videos on my makeup page, on my stories of my makeup page, which I still have. I still have my makeup page. And at the time I had like 6,000 followers and I was like, yeah, 6,000 followers. Like I thought it was, I was doing the thing.
Right.
But when I started doing the cooking videos, I started realizing like, wait, my makeup page is starting to turn into a food page and I don't want this because I was still taking clients and it was still going to be, it's my business.
Right.
So I don't want people to think that this is a food page. So let me just ask them, hey guys, if I open a new page about food, would you guys follow me there? About 100 people said yes, so okay, let's do it.
Okay.
But then there was the craze of TikTok.
So this is all
at the
before
same
TikTok.
time. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is all before TikTok. So when I found TikTok, it was kind of around the same time. It was me doing my stories on Instagram, just cooking. And I would, at the time, Instagram had those 15 seconds, right?
Oh God, wow, we're going back.
The 15 seconds
Wow.
per story. So every 15 seconds I would add another ingredient and I would talk about it. And I'm adding another ingredient and talk about it. And so and of course, as a makeup artist, when I did do tutorials, because I was up at Sephora as well as in my studio, I did do classes. So because I did classes and I did tutorials, I knew how to edit on Video
so this
Leap,
was
and
something
so
that was an easy transition.
It was an easy transition. I went from teaching makeup to teaching food. And so I said to myself, I can just put these 15-second clips together and make a video out of it. And when I discovered that, that's when I started going on TikTok, because I'm not a dancer, so I definitely was not gonna dance on TikTok. That wasn't gonna happen. I know my limits, I know my strengths, that's not one of them. So I just started to put those little 15-second clips together to make 1-minute videos and then just posting them on TikTok. And that's when the magic happened.
Wow, that's incredible. I've seen a lot of people hashtag like techniques of Omi. I think that's what the hashtag is. Like, so when I was Googling, not Google, you can't Google on TikTok per se, but when I searched your name, there was, yes, your videos came up, but a lot of videos came up of people that are hashtagging your technique. So it was really fun to see that people aren't just watching your videos, they're actually doing what you're doing.
Can I tell you that that's actually the reason, part of the reason why I continued to do the videos was because of how much purpose they brought to my life at the time, but how fulfilling they were when people would tell me, their own stories. Thank you so much for showing me this recipe. My grandmother passed away and she never got to teach me that. I had a father, I will never forget it, single dad, 2 boys, wife passed away from cancer. And he said, you are helping me cook the meals that my wife used to make for us here at home. And reading that, how do you stop? How do you stop? And I discovered that there was a greater purpose. I discovered that it wasn't just about the food. It was so much more. It was culture. It was tradition. It was everything that sometimes as Puerto Ricans we lose when we come to the diaspora. Sure. And I know that because I'm one of those Puerto Ricans that moved from Puerto Rico at an early age, the tender age of 11, coming to the United States, it was not easy. And of course, you do tend to lose a lot. Thank goodness for my mom, who never let me forget where I came from and traditions and dishes. And my mom's an amazing cook. But every summer she would send me back to Puerto Rico to spend time with my grandma. And those were the best times, the best summers of my life was there.
Do you think that maybe that's why you didn't lose that culture as much, being that you went? Because I wanted to talk about this, and we said earlier, like, how did you go from Puerto Rico to Rhode Island? How did that happen? Because usually it's like, the tri-state area.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen, and I feel like a lot of times when they come from the island and come to this area, a lot of that is lost because they get so immersed in the culture that's here. That's lost. Do you think that maybe because you didn't come to this area and you went?
No.
Oh, she said. She's like,
no. So we went into Providence, Rhode Island immediately. My kind of a sad story, but my stepdad, he had a 2-year-old son, and when he married my mom after me couldn't have any more kids, and obviously that was a understanding that they had with each other, and so they had me and they had him. And so one day, and I remember I was in my room, I was watching Dirty Dancing, and I was we got a phone call, and it was a very, very tough phone call.
Oh, no.
The little boy was in a car accident with his mom and his stepdad, and it was very close to where we lived, and the mom and the stepdad survived, but he did not.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
And he was only 2. And my stepdad, I remember for like weeks, I was still getting to know him as well. Obviously, the dynamic of another person coming into your home. My mom was a single mom for a very long time. Here is this man now marrying my mom, and now I have to get to know him too. So that dynamic, getting to know him, and in that process, hearing him sob and scream in the room. He couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take driving by the place where he passed, where his son passed. It was just a lot of stress. And so that caused us to uproot and come to the United States. But he had a sister, he had 2 sisters that lived in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And that's how we ended up in Providence, Rhode Island. For me, of course, not knowing the language, the culture, anything, I had to learn really quick. And right before I came to the United States, my dad, who I used to see on the weekends, took me to go see Whitney Houston's The Bodyguard. And I loved the song, I Will Always Love You. So when I came to the United States, I came with that song. What I thought was me singing the song the right way. I totally was not singing. I didn't know the lyrics.
Aww.
But it was the only way that I communicated with the across the street neighbors when we moved. So that summer, going into 6th grade, somehow just me trying to make friends and trying to figure out, life in the United States, I sang Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You. And before I knew it, by the end of the summer, summer of 91, I literally could speak English.
Really?
Yes, and the teachers were baffled, like, wait, how do you speak English but you don't know how to read and write it? I'm like, I don't know. But when you're a kid, you're a sponge, you absorb very quickly. And so that's what I was doing, and my mom got really nervous about that. She got really nervous about the fact that I was picking up the language so quickly. And she didn't want me to forget, so she never allowed me to speak English in the home. And she never allowed me to forget anything from Puerto Rico.
I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's that.
That's a beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, though. I almost needed a tissue. I'm not gonna lie, 'cause that's a very. Thank you. I appreciate that. So fast forward, Omi is in Rhode Island. And how did you get into makeup? Like, how did you know that this is, because by the way, your face is beautiful. I like your
thank
makeup.
you.
I'm like, before you came in, I'm like, my nose is shiny. Like, I can't have my nose, I can't do this in front of a makeup artist.
Oh my goodness. No, I was always a very artistic person. I've always loved to draw, paint. I loved canvases. I just loved art altogether as a kid. But, of course, I never really knew that you could paint your face until I got old enough. And for my prom, I had an ex-boyfriend who took me to his cousin who worked at the Chanel counter. I'm gonna date myself so bad here. In Filene's.
Wow. Wait, not even Filene's basement, just Filene's?
No, just Filene's. I went to the Chanel counter and I will never forget it. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you can paint your face? Like, what?
Wow.
It was a wrap from there. And so from, that age, I'm talking senior prom here, every time we would go out with friends, like the partying or whatever, or clubbing, whatever you want to call it, I did the makeup for my friends. As everyone's getting ready, I was always the one to do the makeup. But it was just for fun because I was still going to school. Mm-hmm. I was still working 3 jobs. When I graduated high school, I was doing a lot. And one of the jobs that I took immediately when graduating high school, actually, no, not immediately. It was the second job. I went into banking. I was a teller. I was 20. And I worked in banking for 10 years.
Wow.
And when I had my third son, I realized that I was working to pay the babysitter. And actually, I have a funny anecdote about that. We were in church, and the babysitter went to our church. And my son was about 2 at the time, and he was just off the walls. And I could not get him to, calm down. I'm like, dude. And I'm trying to talk to him. He's not listening. And here comes the babysitter comes around the corner, comes and sits next to him and whispers ever so gently in his ear. And he just sat right still. I said, the devil is a liar. That is not, no way. No, I'm his mom. I should be able to do that. And something just came over me. I was like, no. I'm missing out. And so I had the conversation with my husband and I said, I need to be a stay-at-home mom. I need to stay at home. I need to be able to raise my boys. I'm missing out on too much. And I did. I stayed home. He was so open to that. He's like, whatever you want to do, I got this. And that lasted about 6 months.
No, well.
And I'm going to tell you why. I will tell you why. I've been working since I was 16. I don't know what it's like to be at home and just raise a family. Mm-hmm. That is not for everyone. Mm-hmm. Hats off to the moms who can do it. And that is a full-time job. That is 100% a full-time job. But it just wasn't in me. I could be a working mom, and I'm proud to say that I was always a working mom, except for those 6 months.
Except for the.
So my friend, a good friend of mine, was getting married, and per usual, because I always did the makeup, she said, Omi, can you do my makeup for my wedding? Yeah, no problem. I had a little shoe caboodle with all sorts of
caboodle.
I had a shoe caboodle. It looked like just random pieces of makeup from Mary Kay and Avon and some fancy stuff. I maybe had 1 or 2 MAC pieces, who knows. Oh, wow. And I did her makeup, and out of that wedding came my first paying client.
Wow.
Somebody was like, I really love the makeup that you did on so-and-so. Can you please do my makeup for my book cover? Yeah. Here's $50. I am a mom who's been staying at home for the last 6 months. This is an opportunity for me to work on my own time and my own terms and make the amount of money that I need to make And that was just always like a small, very small entrepreneurial mind that I had back then, which I believe now has grown into something, you know, much more beautiful and that makes more sense. But back then, that's what made sense to me. And, you know, I'm like, I could do this. I can make my own hours and I could work on my own pace. Let's build on this. And so I started training. I started watching all the videos, all the tutorials. I said to myself, okay, who could I work for that would educate me more on makeup, that I would benefit from this talent? Sephora. I went into Sephora and it was truly a training center. It was truly they would send me off to Vegas, San Francisco, their headquarters, New York, and do all kinds of trainings, and I would elevate each time. And by the time I left Sephora, I was an education manager.
Wow.
And I loved it. And at the same time, I had my studio because, of course, you get tired of being a traveling makeup artist.
Sure.
After a while, it becomes really tasking. I would go up 3 flights of stairs with my entire kit, you know, which is a whole baby in itself.
Yeah.
And you treat it like
Not a caboodle anymore.
Not a caboodle anymore. So, of course, but it was so fulfilling for me. And I loved it because I was always creating. And creating art on a face or making someone feel beautiful, not just on the outside, but on the inside.
Sure.
And that in itself is so gratifying. And so I never had intentions of leaving it. There was never anything inside me that said, oh, I can't wait to do something else. No, I would have still to this day been doing makeup if Cooking con Omi didn't happen.
And Cooking con Omi did happen, but in a big way.
In a very big way. In a very big way.
Now, all right, we're going to touch on it because we have to. We have to. All right, so let's talk about how it is that we get to see Omi on Fox every week right now, hopefully continue on Next Level Chef.
You know, everything about this journey has just happened. Everything about Cooking con Omi has literally just happened. There's nothing about it that was ever planned. There's nothing about it that was ever strategized at all by any means. But it was definitely something that when the door opened, I simply walked through it and maximized the opportunity. And I think that comes with age. You know, when it comes to certain things that you value and that are very near and dear to your heart, with age, you tend to respect it. Mm-hmm. You come from a different angle where you're like, no, I got to take care of this. I have to make sure that this is right and that I do right by this. And so every time a door opened, I treated it with a lot of respect. And so when I got an email in August 11th last year, 2022, about being invited on the show, I thought, first of all, that it was a fake email.
I would too, though.
I had to check my sources. I had to go on LinkedIn
and look at the spam.
I'm like, are these people on LinkedIn? Is this for real? I'm like, okay. But yeah, I got an email, and I mean, it's a very long process. But once I was on the show, I couldn't believe it. Like I didn't understand why me. And a lot of that comes with, and I talked about this a little while ago, imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. When you just feel like you're not worthy of that. That's not really you. What are you doing? Are you crazy? You're not a chef. You know, I'm an accidental social media influencer.
I get it.
And being there, I had to ask myself and ask God, really, why am I here? Why am I here? Why do you want me here right now? And I recognized that I was there because it wasn't for me. This was a representation of my people and a representation of our culture and our dishes, and that's what I was there to do, to elevate that and to give that a spotlight on that.
Which you definitely are doing, and everything looks delicious. How's it been integrating our dishes into whatever ingredients that they're putting out there? And are you allowed to? See, this is where...
You know, so I think that we Latinos overall, we all have our different ways of creating almost the very same dish. Like I can get rice and beans at any place in Latin America, and it's going to taste different everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Un pollo guisado, un sancocho, literally every single country in Latin America has its own version of that, but it's going to taste different everywhere you go. How do we cross that over into an American dish? It's simple. We all have a flavor profile and a flavor DNA that we add to our dishes. That's it. And that's how I look at it. That's my angle. My angle is, how do I make this to my flavor profile and my flavor DNA and stay true to that, no matter what it is.
Well, it's working.
It's working.
So last night, all right, so let's just talk about this for a second. I got to spend yesterday with you, which was a phenomenal experience, by the way. We were at, you're gonna have to say it so that I don't mess it up.
We were at Chocobar Cortez in the Bronx.
Cortez, yes. I said it low, but that's about it. That's all you're gonna get. You did a meet and greet that was put together by Blue Rivera of Blue Rivera Media Group.
Yeah.
A super great guy. Great event.
And the twins.
And the twins, yes, the twins NYC.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love Annette and Jeanette.
Yes.
So cute.
I still can't tell them apart.
I can't, well, they were wearing different colored jeans yesterday. That's how I told them apart. And I asked them several times, I was like, did I meet you outside? And she's like, yes, you met me outside.
By the end of the day, I had forgotten who had what color pair of jeans. I'm like, I don't know
color,
anymore.
Wait,
I
they
don't
had
know.
the same color hair and everything. But yesterday was such a great event. The line that was outside, the excitement of the people that were there to see you. Has that sunk in yet?
Nope. I'm probably gonna have a good cry about it on the drive back home.
Like when I drove up and I saw that line, like in my head when I drove up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the Bronx. I need to look for parking. That's what my mentality was. But I drove up and I see this line of people waiting to get in. Like it was a line of people waiting to get into the club. That's what it was. And they were there for you. And then the line inside, and the vibe inside was amazing. And you just all smiles, holding babies, hugging everybody. Like you have just this sweet soul.
I just love people. I always have. Like I said, I've been in customer service my whole life, and I just know people and I love people. And I can't explain that any other way. Like it's just, I genuinely feel like I connect at that personal level because that's how I wish someone would treat me.
Well, it's definitely, it is 100% exuding out into the social media universe and beyond, because I asked you to do an autograph for me, and they were beyond excited, beyond excited. So it's definitely, it's working. Whatever it is, you being you is 100% working.
And can I tell you that right there, that statement was what also liberated me from makeup into cooking con Omi, which is why it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be to let go of my makeup artistry and my studio and that background. When I discovered that the secret sauce was just me being me all along, and not having to be or pretend to do anything else. When I was a makeup artist, one of the things that I struggled with, you have goals. As a makeup artist, you tend to have these amazing goals of, I want to work one day, I want to work with this celebrity, I want to work in this, and this fashion show. I would love to work with this group of brides. I would love to work in this, we have Newport, Rhode Island, where it's just the most amazing venues for weddings. I'm like, I want to work in Newport. And that you're never going to get haggled for prices, or no one's ever going to battle you on what your fee is. So you set these goals for yourself, but in order to set those goals, you have to behave a certain kind of way in order to get that job. So I would always have to restrain myself a little bit, just hold back a little bit, because it's not safe to let go just yet and just let loose, because you might not get that job. So I would restrain myself a lot in my personality and who I was, and always in my customer service voice, you know, very, I'm like, why am I code switching right now?
Right.
And I used to have to do that, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And when I discovered cooking con Omi, and I say cooking con Omi just because when I started sharing the recipes, people just started gravitating to me sharing my recipes in a way that was so liberating for me. I didn't have to pretend. I didn't have to put my customer service voice on. I could just be me. And that is what set me free when I learned that all it ever took was that secret sauce. To the point that when the pandemic, when the shutdown was over and the world kind of reopened up again a little bit, and I was able to open up my studio, people were booking makeup appointments with me so that they could meet Cooking con Omi.
Wow.
And I'm like, wait, I just wanted to do makeup. Like, I just wanted to do makeup.
So, wow. So at that point, it was still just a pastime. It wasn't even...
It was not full time.
Wow.
I didn't immediately quit makeup. I stayed with my studio for a whole nother year and a half before I finally made the decision to just stop. Because and I'll tell you why I stopped. It was, you know, when you're at a crossroads of like, okay, this is now your moment. You need to decide, are you gonna go right or are you gonna go left? I had been, and I shared this with you a little bit earlier, that I had no balance in my life with work. I got to a point where, because I was elevating at my job, I was doing really well, I was getting hired more for brides and for events and such. I had lost my balance. I also lost my balance because I was the only person providing in my home when my husband got sick. My husband was diagnosed with a degenerative bone disease in 2018, and I had to take on the load of everything financially. And so I could not afford to not work less hours. So I took on more and more and more. I would take on overtime. I would take on another wedding. I would sometimes do 3 weddings in one weekend.
My
like,
goodness.
it was a lot.
Wow.
But I had to because I was the only person providing. And so until we could figure out how my husband was going to get better, or what the deal was, you know, with his health. And so when I lost that balance in my life, I lost a lot of time, precious time. And the time that I lost, that I didn't go to Puerto Rico, I didn't get to see my grandmother. And when I finally went to go see her, I had done a 10-day vacation. I said, I cannot wait to go to Puerto Rico, because I was calling her all the time. She had already been to the hospital once, and it was during COVID, and everybody was worried, and okay, but then grandma got better, and we were like, okay, the next time I'm gonna make it a point that I'm going to Puerto Rico and I want to spend time with her. You don't get time back. Time doesn't forgive anybody. And so I got there, and on the 3rd day that I was there, she passed away.
Oh.
And I never got to see her. I never got to cook with her. And it was one of the most eye-opening moments of my life. I could not continue on with the trend of what I was doing. And I had to let go of something that was consuming me so much. And here was this door that was fully open, and I wasn't walking through it in faith. I was just, this is still just a hobby.
Right.
But when the moment that I walked through it in faith, and I really I let go of my studio, I let go of taking clients. This is how booked and busy I was when I was doing makeup. I had booked weddings. This was in 2021. I had booked weddings for 2022, and the very day that I got on the plane to go do Next Level Chef, I had done my very last wedding ever.
Wow.
That was
That
on
same day.
September 11th of 2022.
Wow.
September 11th of 2022. And I actually, the show, when they asked for me, can you be on a plane on September 10th? And I said, I can't. I have a wedding September 11th, and I have never canceled on a bride. I would never cancel on a bride. And they said, okay, we'll fly you out on September 11th. What's the latest you could fly?
Wow.
So I did the wedding. I was at the bride's location for 6 a.m. I finished at 1 p.m. with the bridal party and the bride. I went back home, dropped off my makeup kit, and I was at the airport by 3 p.m.
Wow, God bless you, man. That was a long day.
But it was also me closing a chapter and
Also, it was
opening up a
fitting.
new one.
It needed to happen that way.
It had to happen that way. It had to happen that way.
Wow, I'm gonna cry. Stop it. Dude. Wow.
Yeah. And I find so much peace in knowing these little details and how God just looks out for me in that way. I find so much peace in that. Because before I didn't. Before I was so consumed with so much and overwhelmed in the worst of ways with so much.
Sure.
That I couldn't see that. I couldn't dream. I stopped dreaming. What's a dream? What for? I'm like, I'm fed up. Like, I'm done. And I got to a point that right before the pandemic, right before the shutdown, I was probably in the worst space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually of my life. In the worst of spaces. And when I started doing the videos on my stories, I started to find healing somehow. I started to find that dream again. I started to find that purpose again. And that's what kept me going.
Well, I'm glad you found that then.
And people, yesterday at Choco Bar Cortez, during the meet and greet, you have no idea how you got me through the pandemic.
Oh, can I have a tissue, please?
And they have no idea how they got me through the pandemic.
Yeah. Can I have a tissue, please? Somebody.
So it was not me.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm a crier, so you can't cry, man. And I'm an ugly crier. I'm an ugly crier. No, I get it. I completely get that. Well, we're definitely glad that this all happened. And yesterday was definitely beautiful. And I'm not going to bring up any more stories because Blue was telling us how somebody was crying to him. So we're not going to do that. But we're going to fast forward to last night.
Yes.
Where we got to go to Roses at Park and view your show. That was exciting. I'm not going to lie. So listen, this is what it was. We were on the rooftop at Roses at Park in the Bronx, and everybody was just huddled to the front. By the way, it was freezing last night.
It was so cold.
It was so cold. And my ass, is in my, usual getup with my leather jacket and my boots. No coat. So I was huddled next to one of the little fire stands. But everybody was out there. Everybody was cheering you on. This
awesome.
was an experience.
Yeah, it was.
It was a beautiful ambiance with the view of the city behind us, behind the screen, and it was a great night. And everybody was cheering you on. Like, how did that feel? Like, it wasn't even about me, and I'm like, wow, this feels like I'm on top of the world.
When you prepare, when you pray for something, are you praying with expectation, or are you praying so that it just hits the ceiling and doesn't go anywhere else? I started to pray with expectation, and I started to do this a while back. And I cannot be surprised or shocked at answered prayer if I've already prayed for it.
Okay.
And I can't say, I wasn't ready for that. No, I'm ready. I was ready for that. I was ready for that. I prepared. I had visions of these parties while I was filming. During filming, I had already set it within myself. I want to I want to make sure that this network, syndicated network television show sees the investment in having someone like me on there, because this is not just gonna end with me. There will be more like me that will go on. There will be more like me that will be invited on because of what I do with this opportunity. So how can I do that? How can I create that atmosphere? I want to involve small businesses that are Latin owned. I want to involve more Latinos, influencers that do exactly what I do, because the fact that I got this opportunity does not mean that I'm the only one that's going to get this opportunity. I can have others. There will be others. So I wanted to highlight that, and I want them to see the power in us, Latinos. It's the only way that I can make this opportunity and take this opportunity and maximize it. And that's what I wanted to do. And so every day I journaled while I was over there. And every time I journaled, I would write down, today, this would be a great day for a party. This would be a great watch party. Just a side note, little side note, cook this today, I made that today. This is what they said about my dish. Man, this would make a great watch party. I came back home. I spoke to my husband. I said, babe, I have this idea. I want to have these watch parties. I had the first watch party in my hometown in Rhode Island with my close friends and family. I paid for the whole thing. I wanted everybody to just come and have a good time. And I wanted to highlight the small businesses that had a hand in it. I handpicked them. I handpicked everybody that had something to do with that party. From the decorator, to the cake, to the food, to the cupcakes, to the piragua stand, to the bomba.
Oh my God, I could say.
I had bomba dancers. Wow. I wanted everybody to be a part of this. And I wanted to highlight each and every single one of those small businesses. And when I reached out to the twins, I had actually reached out to Jeanette first, because I met Jeanette last year during the Salsa Festival here in New York. And it was one of those, the one token. She's like, whenever you need anything, give me a call. I'm like, I'm turning in my token. I need something. I need it. I need help. I'm creating. I want to have this watch party. And I need help. Do you know people? She said, I got you. She said, I got you. I know Bruce. I know Blue.
Wow.
Then
Blue is definitely the one to know.
Somehow between them, Jeanette, Annette, and Blue, they just connected and put it all together. And I was just like, okay, so I'm taking a back seat. Okay, I'll take a back seat.
You just got to show up.
That's it. That's it. And that is how we show up for our community. That's just who we are.
And we definitely showed up last night and yesterday. And where are we showing up next week?
We're going to Puerto Rico. We're taking this show on the road.
Yeah, I may take a flight. I may take a flight.
Take this show on the road. We want to do a meet and greet at Chocobar Cortez in Old San Juan. And we're going to have another watch party at Raíces Urbano.
That's awesome.
In Calle Loíza. And I get to do it in the country that birthed me. It's going to be such an honor. I'm so excited.
That is so exciting. I'm excited. As if I were like there with you every step of the way. I'm excited. So this is an amazing story.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thank you for giving me the time and the space to tell my story. This was awesome. You're really good at this.
Thank you. I have imposter syndrome too, by the way.
No, you don't. You need not to have that. You're really good at this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I think I've taken enough of your time. People keep trying to come in, so I'm gonna. They do. But my ADD did not get the best of me today.
Did it great.
And my engineer did not bother me once today. So
I
know. And he gave me the middle finger. All right, everybody, it's a brand new week, so go own it and mind your favorite minx and join us next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was really good. I'm excited. Oh wait, we're still live or did you already? Oh. Oh wait, no, okay, really, now? Okay, really quick, I just wanted to say that we are here at Barrio BX, again, live with Cooking con Omi.
This is awesome. Awesome.
All right, that was it.